Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today's video is going to be looking at something in depth, and that is risk and reward, and specifically why I think it is probably one of the key defining factors between somebody who can become good at World of Tanks and then somebody who can really push it to the next level and become great or even exceptional. Now, risk-reward, it's very simple. You take your risks and you take more of a risk depending on how great the reward could be. And obviously, risk in World of Tanks, what is that? Well, obviously, your tank, right? You could lose your tank, you could lose the credits of the vehicle, but more importantly, you lose your impact in the game. If you die and you go back to the garage, there's nothing that you can really do to influence the battle apart from becoming an armchair general. And unless you really feel like you're providing some key insight into that, you're not really going to be helping much from the sideline, are you? You're just going to be some kind of angry parent at some kind of football game shouting at the field saying why that kid isn't doing it right. And usually that kid knows that he's not doing it right, and there's nothing that you saying to him is really going to aid in the situation. Now, of course, there are a few examples where if somebody's tunnel visioning, then a quick ping of the map can help them, and I have to admit that's helped me in the past. Or alternatively, if somebody gets themselves into a tense situation and they find that they don't know the hit points of the remaining enemy vehicles, if you remember it, then you can help them out like that. Now, in this game, I notice that they're pushing very, very hard down the western flank, and that none of them were spotted going across this northern part. And so I feel that I want to try and progress as quickly as I can towards the northeastern part of this map, because Wargaming have, when they made the changes to this map, when they made it to HD in 1.0, they made some fantastic ridge lines along here that you can really dig yourself in, and that's fantastic for hull down vehicles. And so I feel that I should be pretty safe going down this way. We haven't spotted any of the really large vehicles unless they've really hugged the A-line, the very north of the A-line there along the red edge of the map, then we should be okay. And considering that it looks like the west is being lost very, very quickly, I feel that I need to take a risk here and hopefully the reward will be worth it. Okay, so Jagdpanzer 100. Immediately I'm thinking, how did that tank manage to sneak there? Surely it's got terrible camo. I should have been able to spot it from the center of the map. Nevertheless, it's happened. I get a bit of spotting, and now, this is a very important moment. I could just sit behind this cottage here. I could sit behind this cottage and I could basically poke out and maybe try and side scrape against a Jagdpanzer 100. If it was an FV215 B183, I couldn't do it with my 60mm of side armor, but against the 170mm that vehicle is using, I probably could. I could also try and spot it. He's managed to take some damage, but I think as soon as the Jagdpanzer goes behind that house, it's just going to become a stalemate. I've also got a Bat-Chatillon 25 TAP, who I'm hoping is going to be able to sweep in and support me, and that is a rather dangerous tier 9 French autoloader. But the Jagdpanzer fired, and so immediately I have to make a decision, and that is that I feel that now that I know that he's got about a 15 to 20 second reload, that I've got an opportunity to go in and hopefully track the Jagdpanzer 100 and take out the entirety of a tier 10 tank. So I bomb my way round the corner, I fire my first one, and I miss the tracks of the Jagdpanzer. First mistake there. Second mistake is that I did not expect that the T-30 would have been there. Now, when I say it's a mistake, I'm not really sure if it truly is. It's more of that you're taking a risk. Of course, there could be tanks always hidden in those locations. Now, it's whether the T-30 was going to be there more often than not. And also, it's whether that someone like this Bat-Chatillon was either going to bottle out and run away like a complete coward, or whether the Bat-Chat would have come in, killed the T-30 with me, and then we would have been able to track the Jagdpanzer 100. So when I was tracking the Jagdpanzer 100, that's almost what I was hoping. You'll see that I wasn't focusing on the T-30 until I knew that the Bat-Chat wasn't going to help me, and then I had to try and make some magic happen by tracking the T-30, using the T-30 to shield me from the Jagdpanzer 100, and going backwards and forwards and hoping for a miracle bounce off my turret. But that tank's got 10 degrees of gun depression over its side, and the T-30 is probably easily going to go through either the turret or even shooting down on the upper hull of this vehicle, and so I knew I was absolutely screwed. Now, the thing is that do you allow this to affect your judgment in the future? Of course, I stream, and you should have seen what Twitch chat was like. Twitch chat was like, oh, so bad, oh my word, has finished with 1,500 combined damage. They thought that I made a reckless, terrible play, but at the time, they obviously just hadn't thought through what I was hopefully thinking, and that is that it's sometimes worth taking the risk because the reward can be very good. 3 days later, I'm streaming again. Same map, same tank, same side. Now, I was very much remembering what had happened previously, that I went up into the northeast corner, I was caught with an ambush, and, well, you saw what the outcome was. I wasn't best happy about it. Now, do I allow that to stop me from doing the same thing again, or do I allow it to affect my judgment negatively? Now, of course, you have to take into account what has happened. If you don't take into account what has happened in the past, you're not going to learn from it, and then you're not going to make more educated decisions in the future. But one very important thing to realize, and this is something that only comes with experience in World of Tanks and through critically analyzing the situation, and then hopefully improving your judgment, and importantly being able to make the right decision quickly, because there's a lot going on in World of Tanks, right? And it's, do you allow that to affect it negatively, or does an exceptional player objectively look at the situation, realize that, hey, maybe that was just a fluke, or, you know, that happened because the bat chat didn't come with, the T-30 appeared out of nowhere even though we had deep vision from this location. And you know what? I'm going to try and do it again. Let's see how it works out this time, alright? So we're going to be making our way towards the south here. For some reason now you don't get any spotting out from this location. And when I say for some reason, it's for a very clear reason. That's because people have learned how to play Fisherman's Bay, and they realize that all the medium tanks rush to here and here, and so you always try and hug the extent of the map as you make your way into position, because you don't want to get caught out and spotted. However, Wargaming have just added this location in here, which is actually really nice. Check this out. I believe this is a new rock. If it isn't, then I'm very confused. But I know they've made changes down the western part of this map. That was one of their 1.0.2 changes, I believe. I'm fairly sure. Anyway, I've never seen this rock here. Long story short, it's helping me to be able to get safe and get a lot of spotting there on the Object 277 and the STB-1, who decided to take some sneaky shots at me. But I want to continue to harass this northeastern corner, because really, if you just sit here and you don't get any vision out, and the enemies don't bother to attack, then it's the team that wins the western flank that wins the game. And if I just sit here, I don't feel like I can influence the western flank, and so it's like one of two decisions. One, do I go and assist the west, or two, do I try and break through one of the flanks on the east? And I've made the decision that breaking through the eastern flank is going to be the more favourable line of attack against the enemy team here. So, K91, one of the most accurate vehicles at tier 10, but still unable to pinpoint the IS-7's hull armor. I bounce an APCR round off the upper plate, and so I now decide to fire a heat round. But the heat round doesn't actually manage to get loaded in time, and so I'm not sure if I'm going to load standard rounds here, but now with the IS-7 taking 300 extra damage, he's looking rather weak indeed. But oh wow, there's another IS-7 there. Okay, now one thing that I remembered at the time is that I held down my Alt key and I took a look at the name of the IS-7, and this one was the one that was last spotted, so that means that this IS-7 is in that corner, and this IS-7 is in a platoon with the T110E4, which means that that T110E4 is likely to be supporting the IS-7 as well. So I'm trying to learn from the situation that happened the previous time that I played this tank on this map, and that I'm expecting the T110E4 to be there. But I'm not going to allow that to stop me from pressing, because now I'm going to try and hopefully communicate with the Super Conqueror and the IS-7 here. And look, he presses attack. Alright. Again, another thing that hopefully we're making better judgment here. We realize that this guy isn't the cowardly bat chat. This guy is a super conqueror who wants to go in and kick some butt together. And I'm all for that in World of Tanks. Just those quick communications with your attack key. For me, that's on T. Pressing affirmative with your F5, negative with F6. Communicating your reloads using the F8 key, and even asking for help with F7, although that's more of a kind of a reaction rather than you know, trying to predict what's going to happen and create a plan. But another thing you'll notice here is that because the rate of fire on this tank is so crazy, I am very, very happy to just track tanks. And look at that, I got 1,500 assistance damage against the IS-7 there because I shot the tracks and didn't shoot the hull. And now, if I'd been in a vehicle with higher alpha and a worse rate of fire like the Object 430U, I might want to shoot my rounds into the hull and try and secure that 440 damage for myself. However, with a vehicle like this with a crazy good rate of fire, and there's the T110E4 that we were expecting, and low alpha damage, I might as well shoot the tracks, because if I shoot the tracks and I get like 1,000 assistance damage, which is very possible, then that's worth way more than doing 320 damage. The way that assistance works in World of Tanks is you're getting 50% of the experience that the person who's dealing the damage gets. So, for example, if you're spotting a tank and you spot 2,000 hit points, then that's the equivalent of doing 1,000 damage to a vehicle that you were spotting yourself. And so, of course, if I have a choice between doing 320 damage or I want to shoot the tracks on a vehicle, a tier 10 juicy tank that's caught out in the open, and then that's going to get me like 2,000, then it's far, far, far better to go for that. Now aggression here, again, T124 can't kill me in a single shot, so of course I'm going to go around the corner and just try and take him out, and is again going to help my team to be able to progress. I take 647 damage there from the T92, and again I try to shoot for the tracks of the Gorilla but unable to do so. I'd really love to get the tracking damage on this Gorilla, especially considering I'm at long range and I'm not even spotting for myself. If you're not spotting for yourself, tracking at long range is very, very, very important. But of course you're going to probably need a tank like this one, which is accurate with a good rate of fire, if you want to really make those shots happen. Light tanks used to be able to do it with their good rates of fire, but Wargaming nerfed their accuracy so much now that you've really just got to aim for the flattest, thinnest plate that you possibly can, or with regards to tier 10 light tanks, just pay Wargaming some money and dab the 2 key. Pretty sad. Let's not dwell on that. Let's focus on what we've got ahead of us. And that is that, do you see that assistance that we've picked up here? Just checking that my ugly mug is not blocking it. 9,700 assistance damage. And so, what am I worried about right now? And that is Jagdpanzer E100. Where is the Jägeru going to be now? As I was expecting the Jägeru to be up in the A1 area. That's why you saw me have a little bit of a jink in the camera to the right there to see if he would just be prepared for that Jagdpanzer. But luckily, considering he's not there, then there's going to be a lot more spotting, a lot more tracking that could go on here for me. So I'm going to go around the corner. The Super Conqueror over-angles himself, and so I'd put one into his lower plate and his tracks. They're not the lower plate, sorry, the side of his armor and his tracks. But unluckily, my second one doesn't go in because I was moving forwards and backwards, and he manages to go right through the upper plate of my tank, I believe. Yeah, it looks like he Can he overmatch the upper plate of this vehicle? Maybe that was the artillery shell. I don't quite have time to take a look. But I'm going to come around the corner now. Again, I was thinking about tracking, but considering he's on such low hit points, I just want to go for the damage myself, and hopefully we can pick up the kill here. Not quite the kill. The IS-7 secures the kill, but we get a bit more damage in. And I am going to say, kill all in chat. I'm going to ping the IS-7 to ask if he will leave. And I track the Jagdpanzer E100, 844 spotting. Are we going to get any more from the Jagdpanzer E100? We're just going to have to see. There you go, 500 more on top of that. And there's the Gorilla. Should be able to finish them off. Aim for the tracks, overmatch the side, and oh, a single hit point. Would you believe we don't secure our 5th kill of the game? Gorilla manages to survive. IS-7 caps out, gets an invader medal, I guess. But look at that combined. So unfortunately, even getting 14,500 combined damage and assistance wasn't quite enough to be able to get the ace tanker for the K91 this week with 1,281 base experience, because I don't believe we fired many, if any, heat rounds. 47,000 credits profit, not too shabby. But that's not the focus of this video. This was an unremarkable replay. It was about the fact that I hopefully learned from the first punishment that I took. What did I learn from it? I learned that tanks can sneak across the north safely, and you don't guarantee getting vision on them if they hug the extent of the map. Secondly, I figured out that you can't rely on the bat chat on my team in the first replay. Sure, if he'd come in, we would have probably been able to win the game, and his cowardice cost us the battle. But you should never rely on your teammates, and communicate with them as much as you can. And that was the difference here. That Super Conqueror was saying attack. I think I pressed affirmative at the time. Maybe I didn't, but I was thinking in my head like, okay, let's go. I love the unexpected teamwork. Let's go with it and let's win the game together. And with clear effective communication like that, yeah, everybody gets a reward. And so I really hope that this video was useful. I haven't really been talking about more of the mental side of World of Tanks. I haven't been suggesting how you can improve your gameplay from good to great or even to excellent. And this is one of the most important skills for you to learn. It's that when you do try things, and don't be afraid to try them, especially in a winning game where you know that the outcome is almost assured. But it's how you rationalize the outcome and then use it to make better informed and hopefully game-changing decisions in the future that will really influence either your capacity to win the battle or just farm up some marks of excellence. And so I hope you enjoyed this video today, or maybe it was just useful. If it was, please consider giving it a like, but if you hated it, make sure you give it a thumbs down, and let me know in the comments what you would recommend to new players as to how to make better informed decisions and how to be objective with assessing the outcome. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.